Hello, and welcome back to the Mayor's Update in 2022. Welcome back to the show, Mayor Joe Preston.
2022.
Right?
When I was young, that was so far into the future, right?
Yeah. Well,
And
you
now
look at
we're
the
here.
science fiction books? Yeah.
It feels like today. Yeah. Well,
I think
I read something the other day that, if you take 1980 as a place and time, and in my life, that was still well into my life, right? The distance from 1980 to 2022 is the same thing as if you went backwards to 1938.
I know.
Well, I remember 1980, and it doesn't seem that long ago. So I'm going to go with, I'll just take each year as a blessing and a bonus, and say thank you, God, for letting us go another year. And 2022 has got to be better than 2021. So we'll just say Happy New Year to everybody, and welcome to this year's edition, the first of this year's edition of Mayor's Update. The place where you get to ask the mayor real questions. So
this is a forum for the community. If you've got a question or you've got something you want to talk about, we have a full place where you can come on live and ask the mayor anything you want. Anybody can. It's amazing. And
we've had some trolls come on and ask us stuff that we didn't even want to answer.
It's interesting. It's always lively.
We still answered them.
Yeah, we did.
We have questioned their intelligence as we did so, but that's also the good thing about being kind of live with the mayor. Yeah, you might get the real answer, not the one you're looking for. So.
Absolutely. And we would be amiss if we didn't thank all of our sponsors that help make this possible. And a big shout out to Simply Pure Water, who's come on for the new sponsor in 2022. And then we've got Streamliners Espresso Bar, we've got Reading Designs, we've got Shebaz, Shawarma and Falafel, which is incredible. And then my studio, Lang Studios. So if you want to buy some paintings and help support the show, by all means, head over to my Instagram and take a look at what's available.
Well, and please visit our sponsors. They're all really quite good at what they do, but adding Simply Pure Water is quite a favorite. Really fans of how they support local and how as a small business they've gone from we sell water to we're a big part of St. Thomas and we make a big difference. And please drop in and see what other people who make a difference products look like in their store. It's just quite good. So
totally. And James has launched a whole line of refillable products such as cleaners and shampoos, detergents. And Jess and I went over there and we picked up everything like on the first day they were open because there was a sale.
Right.
And it's been incredible.
And the recycling piece or the non-recycling, you're getting it into your own containers. It's the right thing to do. And when you need more, you take the same container back and get more put in it. It's talk about green, talk about the environment, and good quality products throughout their store. So way to go, Simply Pure Water, and way to giving some credibility to Mayor's Update by having you as a sponsor. That's high praise. Thank you.
Absolutely. So what's happening in the city over this past week? Like, is there anything going on?
Well, the normal, what would have been going on in between Christmas and New Year's took place. The public skating, the different hockey tournaments, those types of things in a smaller way were all taking place. As of today, of course, we're now city facilities closed for indoor gathering. The library is now into a restricted pickup and use of library. So a lot of the city, and we finally saw some snow. So some of our hardworking snowplow operators and other workers in our city were out doing that work today too. I see, Jackie shouting out to childcare workers and saying, "My art is awesome. How would you? I hardly ever do art."
She's talking about my art, Joe. My art.
About Graydon's art. Oh, okay, that's great, and it is true. I saw a picture of a dog you did yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been trying to get JoJo to stand still for long enough for you to be able to do that. So we'll see.
Awesome. Yeah, I want to do. I was thinking about if I could do one a day for like this year, that would be super fun.
Right.
Yep.
And then I stopped and thought, well, you probably did that from a picture. The dog didn't have to stand there for a whole hour while you did the painting.
Mhm.
So
No standing around. That'd be impossible.
okay, so now I'll look for a good picture of JoJo, and we'll go that route. Okay.
Horton Market skating.
Yeah, we're not there yet. We had a request from somebody about using that lot and how some local people would help us with that. I've given it to the EDC, who is responsible for the Horton Market. But look, till this day or the day before, we haven't had cold enough weather to be able to do outside flooding of outdoor rinks. So let's see where we're at. I will ask the EDC this week if there's a chance of us getting there in 2022. We'll have to plan for next year to be ready earlier. Right. So.
Right. So it won't be happening in this 2022.
I can't say that. I know I passed it off. It will take a lot of setup from our point of view, and a fairly good commitment of a local community committee of, okay, well, who's shoveling, who's flooding, who's doing what, and can we use that space? I know that the Horton Market Group is the EDC is really looking for more use of that space. It is a city-owned space, whether it's the inside building at the market or more use of the outside in the off seasons or night markets and those types of things. So I know it's on their list to look at. So it's the best I can share with you today.
Okay, I'm excited when that happens, and I believe it will happen. I'm very excited to take part in that because, the alternative is going all the way to London.
For outdoor skating?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, of course, if we just give a couple more inches of freezing on our favorite lake in the south end.
We should talk about that.
Please don't go there till the ice is at least 4 inches thick. We don't want to rescue people. We want people to enjoy the outdoors, but there is some outdoor skating spots. And I'd like to look at this year some more neighborhood improvement kind of projects like that. Is there other places we could do some of this? So
I know they're doing it down at Dalewood last year as well.
Yeah, you look, when ice freezes and it's safe, then okay, right? But you and I grew up in a somewhat of a rural background, and I don't remember anybody following. We used to skate on what was the pig pond at the farm. Okay.
Yeah.
But you really waited for it to freeze. You didn't want to fall through that ice. Right. And we need to. There's people who've grown up with never seen a real pond or place to skate in the outdoors. That is just natural. So please be careful. Be sure. And work together with your neighbors on projects like that.
Absolutely. Like when I was growing up, my dad would have the hockey stick, and he'd walk out with the hockey stick like this. So if he fell through, hopefully the stick would catch him.
Yeah.
But someone else was always there.
The pig pond I talked about maybe wasn't more than 3 feet deep or 4 feet deep, but I still wouldn't want to fall through with skates on and try and get out. So, but you're right. My brothers and I played a lot of frostbite hockey. Right.
Yeah.
Even the organized hockey I played up till midget was all outdoors, and the home team had to scrape the ice after the game. And boy, maybe I wasn't quite that good because I spent a lot of time on the bench, and that's the coldest place in outdoor hockey.
Well, no one would ever allow me on an official hockey team. I just had to play pond hockey the whole time. So. Yeah. There you go.
I always mentioned the turf field at One Password Park would be suitable for ice hockey, maybe. Yeah, not without wrecking a $100,000 field. That's the piece. We'd have to lay a hockey rink on top of the field. And so let's just look for how we can do this different in places where we can do it. That is a beautiful facility, but I'm not certain. I don't want people skating on the turf field at One Password Park after the melt, because they may do a little damage to the turf field. So thank you for the idea, Jeff. And let's look for other places where we can do this. I certainly have shared on here before that some of the trails that we're trying to build over the next few years, perhaps some of them should also be refrigerated a couple of kilometers of refrigerated trails. And I wish we'd thought that through before my time for One Password Park, but there's some very good circle trails there that maybe could have been refrigerated trails so that, in a winter where you don't get much very cold nights, you could still use them for skating. We also, I think we're looking at an outdoor ball hockey rink outside of the Joe Thornton Center, and maybe we can look at that. How to use it for that too. So This is a sincere question, Joe. Yes, I voted for you, Joe. Well, thank you very much. That's great. There's a number of people who did. I told you I won't vote for you again. Okay. I don't know what it is you're asking of me, but I guess I'm being punished for it. That's great. I have to read these quicker. Yeah.
We should hop into the next one we wanted to talk about, which is apparently there's a Tell City Hall scam that's going around.
Well, I read something about that today, and I don't understand it. So somebody got a phone call saying, "Hi, this is a survey from City Hall."
Yep, and then asking like personal information questions.
Well, see, and you can come on Mayor's Update and ask us all the questions you want about City Hall, and we won't ask you for your home address or phone number. So I think that's great. All right. I don't know what it sounds like a scam. Anybody who asks you for personal information, say no.
And City Hall's not running that, right? Like City Hall is not phoning people.
Not that I know of. Other than that, that's all I heard. What was the questions you were asked? All right. I mean, sometimes getting all of our information from Facebook might be the wrong place to get the information. So I know of no survey happening right now from City Hall. Mm-hmm. And please, I'm asking you to control your own information. If somebody asks you questions you're not comfortable with, don't give them the answer. Certainly don't give people personal information, addresses, phone numbers, bank accounts, credit card numbers. Just be careful with your own personal information. If we were, I would suggest if we were doing a survey, as we just did a survey about the possibility of an aquatic center or gyms, we would likely do it on social media as a way of maintaining the privacy. It's not quite as accurate of information from that, but it gives us the information we need to know to go forward. So somebody has answered one of the calls this week and can tell us what the questions were other than, can you tell me your credit card number? We'd love to know. We might be able to also stop them from doing it. So. Please.
Absolutely, yeah. And one of the things too is if you get a call like that, what you can do is you can hang up on them and then call the source that they claim to be from.
Right.
So call the City Hall customer service line and ask them if there is a survey that's being conducted by City Hall, and do it that way. Because sometimes even when there's a legitimate survey that's being done, some people might piggyback on top of that, pretend to be those people, and try and get information that way.
Right. Exactly. So, but as I said, be safe. Even if you do know the source, you believe it is your source or your bank, and just say, "I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable giving that information over the phone." All right. Yeah. And they'll find a way to identify themselves better, or just don't do it. That's the safest way in this day of it doesn't take much for people to muck with your identity or your credit. Yeah. Just say no. And the next time you're in the bank, say, "Did you call me?" All right.
Yep.
Yeah, I can answer your questions while I'm standing here. All right.
All right. Okay, I'm not sure. Shelley Fisher has expanded upon her question, but I'm not sure. I guess he's saying, why are you in this position as mayor? I'm assuming.
Well, because I care about the community. I thought at the time the community had to move forward on things like housing and transit and some of the things that we've been able to look at. I thought that as the city grows as fast as it's growing now, we had to do it smartly and grow our city in a proper way, in the sense of roads and bridges and sewers and such. That's why I'm there. I've been a business person in this community for 32 years. And a federal politician for over 11, and then retired and came back, and somebody said, why didn't I run for mayor? And I asked, why would they think that was a good thing? And the answer was, well, because you do care and you have a fairly good business sense of how to move forward. So Shelley, that's exactly, if you looking for a better answer to the question, I can't give you a better one. I like being mayor, and I believe we're moving. This council certainly is moving the city in a great direction forward. So,
absolutely, and let's talk a little bit about businesses as well, because we had two celebrations of businesses that have now been pushed back. Big Pitch, which is the EBRC's celebration of businesses, and also it's a competition. It's kind of like a Dragon's Den, a local Dragon's Den. And so you've got.
I've written a business plan for my business, and I want to move it forward, and it's kind of judged on who's done a great job of it. So, the Big Pitch, and it's very helpful. I mean, small businesses are the growth of our economy in a big way, especially in a community the size of St. Thomas. People who are stepping out on their own, want to be their own boss, and have a great idea or great product that they can move forward. We're happy to have them. You're right that contest itself usually would be a media event, but would also be live with people in the room. That's hard to do right now because we can't have more than 5 people or so in a room. But knowing our Economic Development Corporation and the EBRC and the other groups that deal with small business in our community, that doesn't mean it's gone away. It means that we will do it. And we'll continue to help small businesses. I know that if you walk into our Economic Development Corporation and the Small Business Center or the Elgin Business Resource Center, help is still there, and some great ideas about your product and mentoring and how to write a business plan or how to use social media in a great way in your business. All that help is still there for you. So don't stop your business because the award show is not going. Keep working on your business and prove you can win the award show.
Absolutely. And the EBRC's Big Pitch has been pushed to March 9th, and we'll be streaming that live. So on established media. So we've got a date for that one, and the Impact Awards.
Well, then we know it will be well done if it's on established media. So
you betcha.
Yeah.
I'm just getting all the quotes for all the equipment and stuff today. It's going to look fantastic. All the lights,
really?
the television, the audio stuff. It's going to be quite the show. So all that kind of
Impact Awards too, the largest show that our Chamber of Commerce puts on to really recognize the big performers in business in our community, and some of them very long serving, not just new businesses. Although we do recognize new businesses too, and I get. This last couple of years has been hard, on again, off again, for some of these events, and I understand the frustration part. So let's save up our applause for the Impact Awards and the rest of the recognition of small business in our community. It's incredible. We've been going through some pretty tough times with COVID, but we've also been going through some pretty good growth times in most of our established businesses here in St. Thomas. Many currently looking for employees and have help when it signs up. But also the unique thing is how many new businesses we're seeing over a period of time when it should be too tough to be, but it's not. People with good fervor saying, I can still go into business. And sometimes the worst of times is the time to start your business, because you're anxious and ready to go forward finally with a great idea. So I love it. I love what we have going on in our community.
Absolutely. And if you're able to thrive in a time like this, then, when we're in a really good time, like, look out, you're going to just do absolutely fantastic. So it's exciting to see the business growth in our community. We've talked about it before. I think we talked about it in the last one, but Ruby Blues is one that opened up in downtown St. Thomas. It's a new bakery.
A bakery, right?
The banoffee pie, the banana cream toffee pie, like with a graham cracker crust, is absolutely phenomenal. I can't recommend it enough. I don't know how many people I've sent there at this point, but I know people have gone back and bought full pies now. So
my problem is I would buy a full pie and might not make it home.
Well, that's the thing. I have to buy 2 pieces now because I buy 1 piece and going to split it with Jess, and then I eat 1 whole with myself. So,
Right.
So I know to buy 2 now.
Yeah. Well, and there is lots of great people, and look, that's not saying there isn't other great bakeries in town too.
There are many.
Right? And so I'm also trying to also be careful. I mean, I talk about one of our sponsors in Shebaz, but there's 2 or 3 other great places to get Mediterranean type food too that are just top notch in our community. And the types of, we visited Medlin's downtown, and the rebirth of Medlin's, I guess, is a good way to put it. The reopening, right? And what an incredible shop that is. I mean, you can be amazed sometimes and Handmaid's Tale and other stores that are just, every time you go in them, you go, I didn't know you had that. That's great. Right. That's a beautiful thing, right? Why don't we, so. Good on you, St. Thomas, for attracting businesses like this, but good on you, business owners, for moving forward. I remember the passion, 32 years ago when I opened up this business, and probably 50 years ago when I opened my first business, what the passion was like. It didn't matter. You just wanted to get up in the morning to get there to do something more today. And that's the passion of entrepreneurs. It just is. And there's nothing wrong with making money. I work for a fellow named Dave Thomas at Wendy's who said, profit's not a dirty word. Profit gets you the ability to give back to your community. Profit is what you use to support your family and grow your businesses bigger and better to support your families. But it's okay to work to earn a profit, work hard to get it, and be sure you share it with your community. So, and we certainly see how much established media does, right? And in the same way. Right?
And Wendy's, the thing is, you don't really toot your horn that much, but if you look at all the different things, like Big Brothers Big Sisters is a good example, you'll see the Wendy's logo popping up, and that's Mayor Joe supporting the community.
Sometimes we just don't even announce.
You don't most of the time, yeah.
Because it's about giving back to those in your community. Could also use a little help. And we recognize if we can talk you into going to Wendy's once, we probably get you from then on. We're pretty pleased with our customer service and how it works. So,
okay, I want to talk a little bit about the new burger you got, because I just had it this morning for breakfast.
The Portobello Bacon Mushroom Melt.
Yeah,
it's a burger that was invented. I don't know. I'm going to guess close to 20 years ago. We did the bacon mushroom melt for the first time, and then took it away. It was one of the drop-in burgers, and then took it away. Got just a lot of. What the heck? I thought that was staying forever. It's one of my favorite hamburgers. And so in the next year, we brought it back again and left it for quite a while. But with the specialty burgers, like the pretzel bacon pub that was just there and the others, we eventually have to say, well, what? So we find we get a far better reach where every January we bring back a very comfort food-based thing like the Portobello Mushroom Melt. It is just great comfort food on a cold day. So we will continue to do that. And right now is the time. So,
and what people might not know, and you might not appreciate me saying this, but you can customize those burgers. So I got an extra tomato slice or 2 on mine this morning, and it's fantastic. So yeah, there's another burger place that people think that's the only place you can customize your burger. Well, let me tell you right now, you can do it at Wendy's.
No. Just ask. We'll do our best to make it happen. We'll make it the way you want and how you want. And I mean, we've got a button on the register that is no bun, because there's a whole lot of people that don't eat bread. So, and want the bacon mushroom melt without a bun? Ask it for without a bun tomorrow. It comes in one of the potato boats, and there it is. And what toppings do you want? And so, look, we try to do everything that we can legally do for a customer. And we also will admit that occasionally we make mistakes. We do our best to give the highest level of customer service we can, but we're not perfect. We're really good, but we're not perfect.
Well, it's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I know we're going to get in trouble for promoting Wendy's. I'll get all these messages.
I'm going to get a pile of messages now. And is that why you became mayor? No, I became mayor because I'm a business person in this community and care about the business growth in this community. So.
But we'll hop back over to council. What's coming up for next week that you guys are going to talk about?
It's our first one back, but it's one of the first things we have to do at the first meeting in January, if you have it complete, is to ratify the budget. We have already said we have, and we know where we're at and what projects we'll do next year. But next Monday is the council's approval of the budgeting process. Now, there's still lots of other stuff going on in town from a business planning, business permit point of view and growth. And now with the budget being passed, we can start the growth projects on some of the street, sewer, sidewalk projects that we have set for next year too. Or for next year, for this year, 2022. And we'll share a lot of those with you on the next mayor's update as to what projects should be coming first and how soon they'll be coming.
Yep. No, it's very exciting. Like, as I'm very intrigued about like the art center that's one of my personal like favorites as an artist, and then all the other ones. So please join us next week and let us know like what your thoughts are about all this stuff, because like, that's why we're here.
Right. As I said, the idea was given to me about a skating rink at the market, and we've passed it on to the experts that can help us with that. So that's the best thing we can do is you share with us what you'd like to know. We'll try and pass it on. Not everything will happen, but many things will be. And the ideas come from you, the public, not from us. All right. So.
Mm-hmm. And Jackie Anger has a comment about mentoring in terms of it returns $18 to the economy for every $1 spent on mentoring.
Yeah, and it's absolutely true. And I don't know that exact figure, but it sounds absolutely right. If you're good at something and mentor and teach someone else how to do it, and they become good enough at it to start their own business, you can imagine what that does to the economy. If you're a successful business person in this community and are approached by someone else about, hey, can I start a business like yours, or how do I do it? Mentoring is another great way for you to give back in our community. Share what you know. I'm an older guy now. I've been around a few years, but I'll never say no to someone who wants to come and talk business or how to start a new business. So let's do it, right?
Absolutely.
Please think about doing it. And I say this a lot. There's a lot of successful businesses in St. Thomas, and I don't know one of them that would say no if someone said, can I ask you about your business or how you did it? And so I could learn myself. Look, most entrepreneurs went to work for themselves because that's what they wanted to do, and they're happy to share the information with you. Obviously, stop into a restaurant Friday at lunch, and you might not get the information you're looking for, but set up an appointment, set up an interview with people, and they're happy to share. And even the same thing, we mentioned the EDC and the Elgin Business Resource Center and the Small Business Enterprise Center. All of them are just great at finding you a mentor for your business or someone else who's maybe been through a number of struggles, and they can help share it. So
absolutely. I was mentored by Peter Robson in Sparta as an artist when I was like 18, 19. And the one thing he said to me, the one thing he said to me was like, okay, I'm going to do this, but what you have to promise me is you'll mentor other people in the arts.
Keep paying it forward.
Yeah, pay it forward. That's what he said. You just have to pay it forward. And that's the one. And I said, yep, absolutely. And he said, okay, we'll do this. And I learned more working with him than I think with anybody else throughout my entire career. It was just phenomenal. Like a crash course in like art and business all in one. All right, we've got our next topic here, which is from Kim Spearman. She's saying, I'm wondering if anyone's going to ask about the homelessness downtown.
Great. We try to answer this whenever we're asked, and every week we may get asked on it. And we had a downtown merchants conversation not that long ago, where we continue to talk about homelessness in our downtown. Well, look, I'm asked almost every week. We have space for everyone to sleep tonight, whether it's at our shelter or in the new supported housing buildings we're doing within Dwell. Now, we think housing first is the important thing to do. Let's get people into at least the sheltered housing, and then move them forward into supported housing if they have mental health or addiction issues, and there's on-site help for them with that. Above and beyond that, the city also has a number of geared to income units and other affordable housing pieces. They're not. There is a long list for some of those, but our intent is to continue to house people in a warm environment, and slowly work housing through the chain. If you need housing in our community or shelter is not at capacity, please go there and work from there, the navigation from the shelter towards whether it's the one way through supportive housing or another way just into finding employment and working towards housing of your own. So this council, it's not me, it's we. Our council has been extremely forthcoming on housing. We've built the Rail City Lofts. When we first came to council, there wasn't an overnight shelter 24 hours or just 365 days a year. Sorry, I'm a bit disfigured today, just jumbled. And we continue to stress that housing is the biggest thing that a municipal government has to work on, and we continue to generate new. The Queen Street project of about 60 new housing units is now under construction. The ground has been broken. We're moving forward now also on what comes next on the Ross Street project. That will be next. We continue to try and plan as far ahead as we can. Now, we have great house builders in our community. We're now starting to have a great number of apartment builders in our community, and we're asking them to keep going, keep full force on housing from a market rent point of view too, because we need to be able to get to an affordable housing piece. We won't if the supply stays as hard as it is right now. And we'll continue to work with the provincial government. This provincial government's been great with us on helping to build housing, and we're not done. We've got a lot more to go. We've set a goal for ourselves of 200 units of supportive housing and affordable housing to be done during our term of council, and we're working hard to make sure that happens. We're not blind to it. We recognize that there are people who are homeless in our community. But what we're trying to do is offer everyone that there is choices and ask them to please come join us. And from there, start your navigation towards your successful housing.
Mm-hmm. And Jackie was mentioning the Tiny Hope project, which is one of the many that are in the works.
Yeah, this is where we get to having local businesses also be involved from the supported housing point of view. The Doug Terry Group and the YWCA and the project that they're working on the Tiny Hope project, which will include, we hope, a bunch of other developers too, and going forward more. It helps add to the inventory that the city has in supported housing of people who perhaps have some mental health issues or addiction issues and no housing. Well, we can help with all if we can keep on-site counseling and make that work. So we'll continue to try to attract as many great businesses as the Doug Terry Limited and other great community groups like Sanctuary Homes and YWCA on the Tiny Hope project. But we got lot of way to go, and we need everybody's help.
Absolutely. Let's touch briefly on the Aquatic Center plans, because that was just brought up in the questions here. Yeah,
the council accepted the first report of the Aquatic Center committee at council the last meeting before Christmas, and what it was meant to do was tell us, is there a general agreement that would be a good thing to have in town? But we need to then start to pick where might it be, what might it look like? Is it just a pool, or is it a pool with a number of gymnasiums for volleyball and other things, or what would it look like? Is there community partners like the YMCA or other community partners that might want to be partners with it? So we received that report. The question we had was, a couple of years ago, there was some federal funding available to build some community centers, so to help with rec centers. And we weren't ready. We didn't have a plan as to what it might look like, how much it might cost, and where it might go. So we said as a council, well, let's get to the point where we have a plan at least that far down the road, so that if one of the other levels of government come forward with money for recreational facilities, we could apply for it, saying, here's our plan. We're already ready to go. We're nearly ready to go. We recognize it will cost this. These facilities are not cheap to build, nor are they cheap to run. Certainly pools are not. And so we said, let's get all the information we can. We have it all ready so that when we go to apply, we know what we're talking about. We know what the cost would be to the taxpayers of the community, but also let's see if we can get help from the federal or provincial government towards the project. So the first report is back. The council said, good report. Let's take a look at it and see if we can go ahead through the next step. But we also want to be sure to be able to tell you as taxpayers what the cost may be to you if we take on a project that's 50 million in size, like a pool and gym concept. I've seen some great ones lately, and the committee did a great job going over looking at the Bostwick Center and some of the other great centers that are combinations like this. But they all will take support of other groups like a Y, perhaps, or other groups like the provincial government and the federal government. The operations on a pool estimate, I'm not an expert, but the estimate is about $1 million a year to operate a pool once it's built, not to build it, just to operate it. Well, if we added $1 million a year to the budget we just passed, taxes would go up 2%. $1 million is about a 2% increase in that year if we did that.
Right. And so what did they go up this year? Just by what was the increase this year?
2.3% with nothing new like that, right? And so to just add a pool, another 2%, right?
So if we'd added it this year, just operational expenses, would that be 4.3% increase?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Now, I don't want to burst any bubble. All of this is possible, and it really can be done. But let's get all the facts and figures in, and really ask, what are we willing to pay, and what does it need to look like? Let's start as big as we can with as much as we can, and see how we can get there. And so, great first step by the Recreation Center Committee. It's come back to council now to say, okay, let's start looking at location and where it could be best done, and what's the cost of that location, and what would it cost to clean land if indeed it's an area in St. Thomas that would need brownfield redevelopment, and then let's see who will partner with us. Well, can we talk to our neighboring communities and say, hey, we're going to go pretty big. Do you want to help? Do you want it to be here for everybody? So we'll keep having these conversations. It's part of our strategic plan. Step one is done. It's come back. We've said yes. Let's go to the next step. Being careful not to say yes. We don't want to give anybody the impression that we've already said yes to this. We have not. We've got a lot of questions to go at each step as to how much it will cost and how will we pay for it.
Very good. And I'm just going to address the next question that came in, which was more of a statement than a question from Shelley Fisher. And she's saying there was an altercation downtown. She called the police. She was appreciative. And I mean, that's exactly, if you have an altercation downtown, if there is an issue, call the police, and they're there to help you. That is their job, and that's what they're there to do, and that's what they want to do. So right. I'm glad there's a positive resolution to that issue, but I would say, don't let that dissuade you from being downtown. I'm downtown. The next question is, are we in the trenches? Mayor Joe, are the two of us in the trenches downtown?
Well, we know what's going on, but I would never call it trenches. I believe it's a vibrant urban economic space, our downtown, and it has some issues, as many economic spaces or downtowns do across our country. And we said housing first, and that's one of the first things we have to work on. But look, we're talking all the time about mental health issues and addiction issues. These are two more issues that are healthcare related. Continue to talk to ministers in the provincial government and other community groups like the CMHA and the other groups that help with those projects. Solved overnight? No. Will be solved, not if we don't talk about them, not if we don't recognize that they're there and we need to do it. And Shelley just mentioned another great group, and that's our local police services. They do a fantastic job of not just arresting people, but they do a fantastic job of protecting people and helping people in distress get to another place besides a jail. I think Chief Harridge has said more than once, we can't arrest ourselves out of where we are. We can't just arrest people and solve this problem. We have to find detox and rehab centers. And again, not a municipal responsibility, but we're working with every community group that has that as their responsibility to try and move it forward. I met with both Karen Vecchio and Jeff York today on some housing issues with Indwell and how we can more rapidly move forward on some of the issues we're trying to deal with. 60 units of housing built by next year is a lot better than 60 units of new housing built by the year after. We're housing 60 people quicker if we can do it. So a long conversation with the people who can help us move it forward, and I love them both. Both Karen and Jeff have been great for our community and good friends, and we will continue to push their governments and ask their governments to help more. It sounds somewhat bad when they've just done all they've done and then say, well, thank you, now more. But if St. Thomas needs it, the mayor's job is to ask. And so we'll continue to do that.
Yep. So I think with everything that's being done, yes, things are not perfect right now, and it is difficult, but there is, from my perspective, so much being done to make it better and to help address the issues that are coming up and the difficulties that people are having in our community.
Right. But I mean, look, it happens. We have that. There's nobody in this community or on this council that is saying we don't have issues of addiction, of mental health issues, and homelessness. We do. But here's some steps we've taken in the last 2, 3, and this year, moving forward to address them. Did it address them all? It did not. It did not. But we're further ahead than we were, and next year we'll be further ahead than that. We'll continue to work diligently towards the responsibilities of a city, whether it's housing or working together with community groups, including the police, on addictions and mental health. We'll continue to do it.
As someone who's lived here my entire life, I wouldn't I shouldn't say I've lived here. I grew up here, I left, and then I came back. So as someone who's been other places but grew up here and then came back, there's nowhere else I would rather address these issues than in St. Thomas and Central Elgin, Southwold, and Elgin County. I think the amount of caring in our community, second to none. And so, yes, there's issues, but our community can deal with it.
I see in our comments people saying, hey, well, then here's a group that volunteers and does exactly what you're talking about. Come join us. Right. And Graydon, you and I know we get this a lot. Well, why don't you fix this? Well, why don't you come help us?
Absolutely.
Volunteers help with all of these things. And I recognize not everybody is capable of doing it, not everybody's ready to do it. But the more help the community groups get, somebody mentions the great work that the Elgin Gleaners do for the YWCA. Two great places you can help volunteer. The Inn Out of the Cold is a shelter to house people. We can do that better if you want to help volunteer. Please go and ask, how can I volunteer? Sometimes it's available, sometimes it's not. The Grace Cafe does a fantastic job of helping with food, and there's other groups that do the same thing. These aren't paid organizations. These are people in the community who believe they're making their community better by helping. So please, if you can, help us with that. We haven't mentioned snow angels, and it's snowed the last couple of days. So we continue to try and find people who cannot shovel their own walks or incapable of doing it to find a snow angel that lives very near them who can shovel their own walk and theirs on a day after a snow. So if you're looking forward to that, call my office at City Hall. Heather's got a list of people who need a snow angel, and so whatever we can do, all right. And Shelley mentioned she picks up litter and refuse in our community all the time. Great, thank you. Keep doing it, right? And please ask your friends. Get others to do it too. This is what communities are made up of, people helping. Cities are made up of buildings and roads. I'd much rather be a community than be a city, right? Our city is growing well, but our community needs to grow in leaps and bounds of helping. And look, and sometimes you're contributing by donating. Other times you're contributing by helping on site. Other times you're contributing by helping gather people towards good community groups that need help. Please do all.
Totally. And I can give an example too. Like there was a time last year about this time when I couldn't volunteer because Jess was pregnant with our firstborn, who we now have, who's amazing. I wanted to volunteer at End of the Cold, but obviously with COVID, I was like, okay, I'm a bit hesitant to go there in case we caught COVID or anything.
Right.
But what I did is I auctioned off a painting, and I donated half the proceeds from the painting sale to End of the Cold. So there's a lot of different ways you can kind of look at the situation and find a way to help. Like you might not be able to volunteer, but there might be something else you can do to help. Even promoting is a big help on social media.
Right. Well, and as you know, we have a vibrant social media groups in our community. And if they will spend 3/4 of their time being positive and pushing forward good projects, that's another thing you can do. Please talk. And this is where we are tonight. We're on social media talking about the great things in our community. Let's also talk about how can you help? And if you can't, promote this, send it on so other people can see it too. I mean, that's a great step forward. If you can't afford to get out or you're not able to get out, please help share good news and good stories. There's a lot on social media every day, and don't center on the bad stuff, right? So
let's talk about the YWCA, which Jackie Anger is a part of. Like, honestly, that's one of the best organizations in our community. They do so many incredible things, and they're you have no idea the number of people that they help throughout the year, from like early childhood education
point of view, from early childhood stuff, but just even shelter. I talked about the In Out of the Cold, but YWCA and the Youth Unlimited and all of the other groups that also provide shelter in our community. There's not just one. There's many that do it. And Lindsay and the group at the YWCA is over the top. And then even education, even help and training people for jobs. It's a one-stop shop, it seems, in our community for great work. And we already mentioned them as being part of the Tiny Hope Project. Let's add more housing to our community too. We'll do it, right?
Yep. And if you're new to the community, the Local Immigration Partnership as well, which they help run, is incredible.
Right.
I believe you're probably reading Robert's comment there. Is that right?
Yes, I was starting to read Mr. Furneaux's comment, but he is the best perspective of gauging your community is on its volunteerism and its community work. And so, he's absolutely right. And I'm pretty proud of how good St. Thomas is at doing this. And so don't take this as a lecture. We just need all the help we can get. And as generations change, when I first came to St. Thomas 30-some years ago, the service clubs, the Kinsmen, the Kiwanis, and many of them did the fundraising and a lot of the work. And there's not as many active service clubs, although there's still some really good ones, right?
Oh, Rotary, we've got Optimus, Lions.
And churches used to do a lot also, right, in their own communities and with their own church community. And there's less of that happening. So please, any way you see you can help, please do. No help is wasted, and it's all extremely valuable in our community.
Absolutely. And we were just on the Downtown Development Board committee meeting this morning.
Yes.
And one of the things that you guys probably don't know, that the majority of the businesses don't know, is that it's an entirely volunteer board. And most business improvement area associations, they're paid.
Right.
So by being a volunteer board,
the new baby at home gets up at 8 o'clock in the morning to go to DDB meetings, and the mayor says, "I care about the downtown. I worry about the downtown. Let me be there to talk about what we can do." And sometimes it's about the management of downtown. We talked a little bit about parking spots and trash cans and stuff today, but we also talked about how do we make this place grow? What do we do better? And how can we help those new businesses? Sometimes it's just walk in and say hi, shake your hand and say, glad to have you in downtown, right? And buy a piece of pie. Right? I mean, or a book at the new bookstore, or
so good.
You name it, right?
Yeah.
So, yes. Am I a little bit of a St. Thomas cheerleader? Absolutely. That's my job as mayor. I will continue to cheer, and I probably won't let you say too much bad about our community either, because we can do better if we work together at it. So,
no, absolutely. All right. Well, I think we've gone through the majority of the questions here this evening.
I think so. I was just trying to scroll here to see if there's anything, Jeff says he's lived here 20 years. What a great city this is.
Yeah.
And Jackie's talking about the gleaners and these are the people who go out and harvest food after that farmers have allowed them to harvest and use it for our food bank and other places. Just you name it, there's stuff you could do if that's what you're into, right? I had a conversation with somebody the other day about community gardens. I said, well, we have 2 vibrant community gardens in our community, but that doesn't mean you can't grow another row of something in your backyard if that's what you want, and or go help with those at the community gardens. And a lot of the produce from the community gardens end up at the food bank.
Caveat being, if you're in an industrial area, probably not a good idea.
Right. No, but make it make sense and make it another thing you can do. Grow a row, it used to be called, right? And because everybody had a home garden. If you grew a row that was just for the food bank, then that was it. You also grew the food for home. So, and look, it's been really hard as the mayor in the last couple of years, because there's usually a lot of big things you can push, like whether it's mayor's cleanup or litter day or other community activities that we used to be able to do. And we're hoping to get right back to that as soon as we possibly can spend time together. But I don't think it's fair to ask people to do stuff that may be unhealthy for them. So some of these volunteer opportunities maybe have to be done by yourself rather than the whole group of neighbors who go out and do a litter cleanup. By this spring, maybe that's changed and we're back out doing community cleanups and community skating rinks and a number of other things. So let's hope that's the case.
Absolutely. But Kim Spearman just asking, is there a shared Facebook page where people collaborate on which places need the most help, volunteers, food, donations, clothing, bedding? And St. Thomas Helping Hands, I would say, is probably the number one that comes to my mind. But if you go on St. Thomas Happenings and you post that question on there, they'll be able to give you a list, because there's about 20,000 people that are a part of that in our community. And they'll answer every single one of those and list them out, probably ones I don't even know about.
Yeah, and or visit one of the places we already talked about tonight, whether it's Grace Cafe or In Out of the Cold or the YWCA or any of the service clubs. They all can help you in a direction that fits you best. The good thing about volunteering is you can move on to something that fits you better.
Yes.
Right? Once you decide, well, I've done that one. I was a snow angel for 4 years. Now I'm going to be X and fill in the blank. I'm going to go help volunteer at Grace Cafe or at the Inn or at the senior center, wherever else it might be. So yes, most of your volunteer opportunities would be at a volunteer opportunity, and they would know, okay, can't be here, then let's do, I know another place where you could go, and we've got groups of people, we saw this during COVID, who knit, who sew, who made masks, who did all of this stuff. Well, somebody has said Ginny is amazing. You're absolutely right. I pray and God bless Ginny every day. It just is. What she gives to our community is above and beyond what one person should do. And if we could get 153 more of her, we'd be no, I'm just kidding.
Maybe we can get her on the show next week.
Well, there's an idea. We haven't had Ginny on the Mayor's Update, have we?
We've never had her on. I want to talk about the annex, the new building they're putting
in. Our next step is on detox and rehab, which is really falling into what we said before about homelessness and what needs to be next from an addiction and mental health point of view. Hey, let's try this. I know how busy she is. This may be late for her, but let's ask. Let's make sure we can, at her leisure, if it's not next week, it's soon. Let's make sure we can talk about what the good that Grace Cafe does. Right?
Absolutely.
And I think there's a lot of people who say, "What is that? What's that doing? What that's that?" Right? No, trust me, it's doing good. Help them. Right? So let's all add to a better community.
All right. Well, on that note,
to answer Kim's question, there's lots of places, but as you said, go onto any of the St. Thomas Facebook sites or social media sites and say, I want to volunteer and I'm best at this. Can somebody tell me where to go or who to talk to? I think I just posted yesterday about with the shelter's phone number in it. So that would be another one. And the even our own social services phone number in case you needed that type of emergency help too. So,
yeah, perfect. All right. And on that note, Mayor Joe Preston, thank you so much for joining us. As always, volunteering your time to answer the questions from the community in this public forum.
Happy to do so, and hopefully I try to answer them all. Okay, somebody say, "Well, you talk like a politician." Well, I talk, and I'll give you the answers. If it's not the answer you're looking for, it could be that not that I'm wrong, but that it's the answer I got. And we haven't yet gone through all of the other councilors yet either.
We've got to do it.
Yeah, because we've had a few on, and the rest of them are saying, "What about me? You don't like me?" No, they're not saying that at all. But I really would like you all to meet all of the people who do this great work in our community. The mayor tends to get the face work or the face time of it, and Graydon and I make a big opportunity of trying to make sure we're sharing what the mayor's done and what city council has done. But I'd like to get the rest of the council to tell you in their own words what they do and why they became councilors too. So
I would love that. We dedicate over the next year at least one spot for each of those councilors to talk a little bit about that.
Yes, yeah. I think so. So, you think my phone would be ringing off the hook, but they're busy people too. And being a councilor in a community like this is a thankless job because not everybody knows who you are or how hard you work or what you do. It's not just attending meetings on Monday night. Mm-hmm. It's about caring about the whole community at once. So thanks, Graydon, for tonight. It's been a great mayor's update, the New Year's edition. It was great to get, the Christmas season and New Year's season is a fun time of year, but sometimes we get into January and it gets a little bleaker and we need to be able to continue to talk up St. Thomas and where help is available if it's needed and what we're trying to do in the order of housing and food and everything else we can do. So I love the thought of having Ginny on. She'll share with you what happens. So
yeah, absolutely. No filter. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again to all of our viewers, all of our sponsors for making this possible.
Yes.
Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks. Cheers.